Hi guys, I hope you're having a good week so far. We're going to be looking in this video at a couple of things that Wargaming have teased in the intel on April 6th of 2021. I believe we know what one of them is almost certainly, and then we're going to be looking at the second teaser that Wargaming released yesterday on the 24th of March as to potentially a new map that might be coming into the game. Not entirely sure, but we'll get right into the game. There will be some gameplay on screens for you to watch. There will be some screenshots on the screen so you can look at those and reference what I'm talking about at the different points that will overlay the gameplay. So hopefully that will make some sense as to what we're talking about. The first screenshot that we do have of this new teaser that Wargaming have mentioned upon is actually what I believe to be a bore evacuator. Now this is that bulbous bit at the very end or the right hand side of the image on screen right now. That's the bit that comes out and then gets bigger. And this is basically a thing that's on modern tanks post World War II. You don't typically see them on any tank before then, so you know there's not very many tanks in the game other than things like the Chieftain, and some of the British tanks have them on there, but that's because they are post World War II tanks. But this is basically what you can see on screen. Now it looks very similar to the M1 Abrams. Basically what it is it's a method to remove propellant gases. When a gun's fired, it obviously gives some smoke and hazardous, compounds and gases, and basically what it does is it stops it from going back into the crew compartment as the shell's fired into this compartment, and then it comes down and follows the shell out of the barrel, so it doesn't then backfill into the cabin or the crew compartment, and therefore potentially lead to some toxic gases entering people's lungs. It's not that much of a hazard to the crew members. But moving on to what tanks it's actually relevant to, we have a few kind of pictures that we can use in order to actually show you what it could potentially be. One tank that we definitely know has this bore evacuator or gun evacuator, whatever you want to call it, is the M1A1 Abrams. This is yet again like the previous Modern Tanks video, hinting again at modern tanks entering into World of Tanks console. An M1 Abrams has this on its gun barrel. You'll see it on screen right now exactly what I'm talking about, and then we'll have a side-by-side comparison of them to just feature and give a better argument for you guys to actually see. Now, what does this mean for World of Tanks console? It potentially means that we will be getting modern tanks for those of you that are interested in that sort of area. I don't know for 100% sure, but I am almost certain that it is 100% coming into the game. It's not just on the M1 Abrams, it's also on the Leopard 2, and a screenshot will be on screen right now so you can see that too, and it just backs up further that I believe that there will be modern tanks entering into the game. I think that this is just giving us another example of them developing into this area. Even from things like, you could say that, well, that could be the mantlet of a tank as it comes into the turret. But when you look at the bottom and the profile of the bottom of the bore extractor, it's actually very similar to the M1 Abrams. You've got this flat part at the front of it that also goes into a bigger section behind it. Does very much look like that. Off of either the Leopard 2 or the M1 Abrams, and there's a variety of other modern tanks that also have this. It was definitely a post World War II thing, so it's either it's going to be a tank that's later on, Cold War era style tank, rather than the World War II, so whether they'll expand the tech tree from tier 10 into some more modern tanks, ones that went from like the 80s to the 2000s, and then maybe they'll keep developing that until we're up to date with modern tanks. I don't know for sure. Maybe that will give the game a little bit more freshness and something else to look at in terms of when you're playing, for those veteran players that have played the game for 7 years or however long that they've played. Gives us something extra to look at. The next screenshot that you can see on screen right now is something that I don't think I've ever seen. I think it's something completely new that has never been seen on the game before, and it looks to me like it's a hilly area built up with lots of cities over to the left, and we've also got this hilly area on the right. We've got a bridge in the distance. It somewhat reminds me of Westfield. Now, I'm not saying that this is Westfield reskinned or anything like that, but it reminds me of that kind of map. Very open. You've got 3 channels. You've got the left hand side where you can go, the right hand side that you can go, and then this valley in the middle of the map. Now, do I think that this is actually Westfield? No, I don't think it's Westfield at all. I think it's more likely to be another map that is coming into the game. Obviously only speculation, so we can't say that it is for sure a new map that will be entering World of Tanks console. But I do think if we look at it, it's got the potential to be a really good map. I think Westfield was a good design. You've got plenty of areas where you can go. I think with the addition of the cities in this one means that it's going to be able to use that areas more effectively and be able to move around the map a little bit more. I don't know how far reaching this map will be, because at current kind of screenshot you can see that there is this bridge in the background. Whether you'll be able to go the other side of the bridge, whether it's an actual feature as part of the map, I don't know, but it looks like it's going to be a good kind of map for us to play. I think it's got potential in order to be able to actually use it very well with your medium tanks and light tanks. It's quite an open looking map, as well as having those areas like this town on the left where heavy tanks could go. I think if it is a very large map, like I'm kind of thinking it might be with this bridge, whether you'd be able to go that far back, would hint at the fact that it could potentially be implementing a 30 versus 30 game mode. Obviously, that I'm not entirely sure that could be possible on console. It's on PC. I don't think it was well received on PC. I don't think that many people like the big game battles. But it could be an idea out there. I don't know for sure. But the idea being that you increase the amount of players per side, you increase the map size, and maybe it will be to do with that. Although I think it's more probably to do with the modern tanks and having their own maps that they play, because obviously they could be suited differently depending on how they play in game. I think everything will be similar if these modern tanks do come out, and it seems very much like there is some sort of big info that we've not been known. It's been almost 4 months, well, just over 4 months since they've actually released update 6.0, which was the last big update, and I'm feeling like it's kind of coming into that area where they'll be introducing this big new update coming out very soon. I'd like to use the end of this video to hear your thoughts and opinions as to what you think these announcements and teasers have been, whether you disagree, whether you agree, or what you actually think personally that this is going to be about. I think the bore evacuator and the actual image is pretty concrete. I think that not very many tanks have this. Certainly not very many old tanks have it. It could potentially be the end, the mantlet where it comes in, but I very, very much doubt it. I think that looks very, very symbolic of the M1 Abrams or the Leopard 2, or also some other tanks of the modern era of tanks that use that image. Obviously the map could be down to anything. It could be a map, it could be something else, it could be featured a new game mode on a map that's much bigger. It could be the 30 versus 30, it could be different things, and I'd like to hear your opinions on that. That's why I would tend to run the polls separate on the channel. Obviously we have the community tab on the channel which you can go to have to feed in your own opinion, answer some polls, see what the community is also thinking that follow the channel, and also just see what kind of areas that people are looking into. That's what I find very interesting, hearing your guys' thoughts, opinions. So I read almost every single comment in the comment section down below, as long as I'm actually able to get to my phone or to a computer, and I try to reply to everyone. Obviously it's not always possible because I have other real world events and stuff that I have to do. But related to the channel, I'm really, really appreciative of any comments and your discussions. I try to reply to everyone. and get a good conversation going. So I'm interested in seeing what you have to think about these whole new teasers and trailers and stuff that they'll be bringing out. Whether they'll bring out any more stuff today, as of the recording of this video, I don't know, but I'm sure you guys will have that discussion in the comment section. Now, before the video ends, I do want to thank every single one of you that has watched the content. I want to say a big thank you to everyone that subscribed. Obviously, we've reached 3,000 subscribers yesterday. I was absolutely amazed that we've managed to even get here to this point in such little time. It's been really, really rapid growth, and I'm absolutely astounded by how fast it's been. It's really kind of took me way less time than I potentially thought it could even happen, and I'm just really appreciative of that. I'm hoping to potentially do some sort of event or something for everyone that is subscribed, and hopefully we can do that in game at some point. More info on that will be given at some point at a later date. But yeah, I'm really appreciative, and I like having the ability to interact with different members of the community and share my interest in the game that we play. Even if it has been 6 years since I've started playing it, I'm still just as interested in it as when I first joined. And, you know, seeing the game do well and having a good community is something that I really want for this game. I want some longevity to it, and I really hope that this update and this video goes down quite well. I want to see what your thoughts are again. Anyway, that's it for this video. It's a shorter one than usual, but hopefully it was concise and it had enough information in it. Obviously we didn't get too much information in terms of the teasers, but it's just a bit of speculation, informing you as to what the potential options that could be within this whole teasers, and then just talking about and thanking you for the 3,000 subscriber milestone that we've hit. I really do appreciate that once again, and I'm hoping that you can check out some of the other content on the channel, which is on screen right now. You can have a look at that. We went through a modern tanks video previously as to what potential modern tanks you might be seeing. Went through them. It wasn't too in detail as to tank specific stuff, but we did go over a couple of tanks that might be featured within it, and therefore you can make your own assumptions. You look at things like armoured warfare, you'll see that there's plenty of tanks there that you can have a look at. As to the more modern post-Cold War and pre-Cold War tanks between, like, you know, Vietnam and onwards, there's loads of different tanks that could potentially be part of this new tech tree or advancement in tech tree that we currently have in World of Tanks console. Other than that, I want to say a big thank you to everyone once again, and I hope to see you in the next video. Goodbye.